He picked up my proposal like it smelled bad. Didn't flip through it, didn't even glance at the damn cover page. Russ Kincaid, CEO of Titan Freight, billionaire, fake smiling piece of work, looked me dead in the eye in front of 30 execs and said, 3.2 million? This is what you think your idea is worth? I opened my mouth to explain, maybe walk him through the numbers again. He didn't give me the chance, just tore it straight down the middle, 2 slow rips, like it was personal. You're not ready for the majors, Dean. The room went dead quiet. You ever hear silence that makes your ears ring? That kind? I looked around. Nobody moved. No one looked at me. These were men I'd worked with for months, some for years, and every one of them avoided my eyes. No one was going to step in, not against Russ. Quick note. Before listening, share which city or country you're watching from. I stood there with nothing in my hands but shreds of 6 months' work. My pulse wasn't even racing. I wasn't shaking. I wasn't even embarrassed. Not in the way I expected. I just felt hollow, like something had clicked off. So I said, calm as anything, you're right. I'm not in your league. He smirked like he'd won something. I nodded once, turned, and walked out of that glass-walled boardroom like it was just another Tuesday. Not a word from anyone behind me, not a single hand on my shoulder. Didn't go back to my desk. Didn't grab my stuff. I walked right out of Titan Freight's headquarters and got in my car. I sat there for an hour, maybe more. The heat had my shirt sticking to my back, and I didn't even care. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just stared straight ahead at a concrete wall and thought about every decent man I'd seen get swallowed by someone like Russ Kincaid. That was the moment I realized something was broken. Not just in me, in all of it. So I started the car and drove. I didn't sleep that night. Just paced the kitchen like a damn ghost, running the numbers again in my head, like maybe I'd missed something. I hadn't. The numbers were solid. The proposal was tight. I did everything right. That's what killed me. I've always been the by-the-book guy. Show up early, stay late, don't stir the pot. And for what? So a guy like Russ Kincaid could take a dump on 6 months of work in front of an entire boardroom and call it a lesson? Nah. That wasn't just rejection. That was a message. Fall in line or fall hard. I stood at the sink and watched the ice melt in a glass of bourbon I hadn't even touched. My brain started digging up names I hadn't thought about in years. Ron Danner. Smartest guy I ever worked with. Built a logistics algorithm that could have revolutionized how Titan ran regional shipping. Russ restructured his department 2 weeks after the first demo, then filed a patent under his own name, Marcus Leland, project lead on a same-day warehouse rollout. Russ blamed him for a supplier error and dumped him in the middle of implementation. Marcus collapsed in the server room 3 days later. Heart attack. 47 years old. I used to tell myself those were just bad breaks. Office politics. Now, I saw it different. Russ didn't just ruin people, he erased them. This wasn't about ego anymore. The man was dangerous. I pulled out a notepad and started writing. Not revenge, strategy. First column, weak spots. 1, his PR image. Mr. Self-made disruptor. He ate that press up. 2, his control over the board. Everyone owed him something, but favors only stretch so far when the heat turns up. 3, the need to own everything. Every process, every file, every idea. He couldn't help himself. 4, the whispers. About the bruises his wife covered up. About the locks she changed. About how no one ever saw her twice in the same dress because he controlled what she wore. By midnight, I had a full page of bullet points and one name circled at the bottom, Jenna Rivers. She was the real architect behind the integration system Russ was trying to steal. Quiet type, sharp. Didn't care about credit, just wanted her work to mean something. Russ didn't see that as a strength. He saw it as blood in the water. I found her on LinkedIn, still listed under Titan's R&D, but I knew she hadn't been showing up lately. Rumor was Russ was restructuring her too. That usually meant your badge stopped working without warning. I typed out a message. Jenna, I think you already know Russ is about to screw you. I've got an idea that might protect your work. No tricks, no BS. Just talk to me? I hovered over to send for a second. My gut twisted. Not from fear, from knowing the second I hit that button, everything changed. This wasn't venting, this was stepping into it. Eyes open, I sent it. 10 minutes later, I got a reply. 3 words. When and where? That was all I needed. I shut the notebook, poured the bourbon out in the sink, and started planning. We met at a diner just off the highway, one of those places where the booth still had rips in the vinyl, and the waitress called everyone Horn. Jenna walked in 5 minutes early, sat down across from me, and didn't bother with small talk. "You're not the first to reach out," she said, flipping her coffee mug right side up. "But you're the first who didn't offer to buy me out." She didn't wear makeup, no jewelry, hair in a bun, hoodie with grease stains on the sleeve, but her eyes, laser-focused. I said, "I'm not looking to buy anything. I want to make sure what you built doesn't end up with his name on it." She leaned back, arms crossed. "Russ told me 2 weeks ago if I didn't license the code to Titan, he'd have legal shut it down, said, and I quote, 'I'll make your work disappear like it never existed.'" I nodded, jaw tight. "That tracks." She looked me over like she was still deciding whether I was full of it. "Why you?" she asked. "Why now?" "Because I finally stopped waiting for someone else to fix it." She stared for a beat, then shrugged. "Talk." Over the next 2 weeks, I started building the team. People like me, the ones who'd been chewed up and left behind. First was Omar, ex-CFO at Titan. Fired after he flagged creative accounting, Russ had been pushing through to inflate quarterly numbers. Still had all the spreadsheets. Next came Brian, a tech writer who'd put together a brutal expose on Russ's shady funding history. It got pulled the night before it published. Legal threats, non-disclosures, sealed sources. But Brian never deleted a word. Then there was Neil. Quiet guy. Developer Titan gutted his project, rebranded it, and shoved him out without credit. He'd disappeared from the scene after that. I found him running freelance sysadmin jobs for HVAC companies. Told him I had a shot at justice. He didn't even ask for money, just said, "When do we start?" We met at a co-working space I rented under a fake company name. Jenna handled the system architecture. Neil built a secure comms platform we could all access off the grid. No cloud, no traces. And then came the curveball I didn't see coming. Claire, Russ's wife. She showed up to the same diner where I first met Jenna. I didn't recognize her at first. Oversized sunglasses, hair tucked into a baseball cap. Jenna had told her about me, said I wasn't another vulture looking to cash out. She sat across from me and slowly pulled her sleeve up. 3 bruises, different stages of healing. "I'm not asking for sympathy," she said, "but I'm tired of living in the dark." I kept my voice steady. "Why now?" "Because I know where the skeletons are buried," she said, "and I'm ready to dig." She didn't want revenge. She wanted him stopped. I looked at her, then down at the list in my notebook. 5 names now. 5 people with something to lose, and way more to gain. Russ had built an empire on silence. We were about to break it. We moved fast after Claire came in. Neil set up a secure file sharing system, using cold storage drives and encrypted local servers. No cloud, no public Wi-Fi, no phones allowed during meetings. He even rigged a Faraday pouch for Claire's laptop, just in case Russ ever got nosy. Claire didn't hesitate. She handed over an external hard drive and said, "He keeps everything. He thinks he's untouchable." The files were worse than I imagined. There were voice recordings of him yelling, degrading, threatening. Not just Claire, but board members, suppliers, employees. Screaming about burying weak links. Calling people dead weight. One email chain had him openly bragging about manipulating Titan's quarterly numbers, mocking auditors. Another chain showed him discrediting a junior engineer for speaking out on code theft, then replacing him with his own nephew who barely knew Python. Jenna sat beside me as we went through it. She didn't flinch. Just took notes, eyes locked on the screen. "Still want to do this?" I asked. She nodded once. "Let's bait the bastard." The plan was simple, but risky. Jenna would tell Russ she'd had enough of me, said I was trying to blackball her tech, that she wanted to sell direct to Titan before I ruined her career. Neil built her a mic small enough to tuck under her bra strap, high fidelity, long battery, no external wiring. He tested it himself and tweaked the gain to cut through background noise. We picked a Thursday. Russ had a pattern: midweek meetings off-site, usually somewhere where no one knew who he was. Jenna texted him from a burner number. He bit in less than 5 minutes. They set the meeting at a private conference room in a boutique hotel downtown. I drove Jenna there in a borrowed Honda Civic with temporary plates, parked 2 blocks down, sat behind the wheel, gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. She adjusted her jacket, looked at me once. "If I don't come out in 45, you come in. You sure about this?" She gave a crooked smile. "Let's see what he says when he thinks he's winning." She walked in. I watched the seconds crawl across the dashboard clock like they were trying to kill me. 17 minutes later, she came back out. Pale, eyes wide, grinning like she just robbed a bank. "Got everything," she said, sliding into the seat. That night, we met in the workspace, blinds down, all phones powered off. Neil plugged the recorder into the system, and we listened. It was all there. Russ started cocky, called me small time, said he was just doing what had to be done when he trashed my pitch, said I was a threat, not to the company, but to how business gets done. Then he turned to Jenna's work. He told her flat out, "You're smart, but you don't know the game. I can bury this tech in a drawer if you don't hand it over. I'll patent a knockoff and sue you for interference if you breathe a word." Then the line that made my blood run cold. "You remind me of my wife, always thinking she's smarter, always forgetting who's in charge." Jenna didn't respond in the tape, just let him talk. He kept going, said he owned the board, that nobody had the balls to cross him, that he could burn anyone who tried. When the recording ended, no one spoke for a long time. Finally, Brian said, "Well, we've got him." I looked around the room, 5 faces, tired, serious, locked in. This wasn't about getting even anymore. It was about stopping something toxic from rotting through everything it touched. Brian didn't waste time. By Monday morning, his article dropped in Business Ledger Weekly, 6,000 words, titled "The Quiet Corruption of Titan Freight." Subheader, "From Stolen Code to Cooked Books, How Russ Kincaid Built His Empire." Every paragraph backed with hard files, verified emails, direct quotes from the recordings. No speculation, just receipts. Corporate Twitter lit up like someone tossed a match on gasoline. Executives tagged, board members named, screenshots flying, think pieces popping up before lunchtime. By noon, Titan Freight's press line shut down. Every call went to voicemail. Neil moved next. He pushed full file sets, recordings, documents, and secure verification logs to the SEC, every Titan board member, and the investment bank managing their IPO. He didn't even wait for a response, just posted, "You've all had it long enough. Do something." Then came Claire. She stood behind a podium at a quiet domestic violence center in Cincinnati. No makeup, no spin, no tears. Just truth. She never said Russ's name. She didn't have to. "I lived a long time in a house where fear was part of the decor," she said, "where bruises were explained away and silence was rewarded. That stops now." One clip from her speech hit 500,000 views in an hour. That afternoon, the board called an emergency meeting. Titan Freight's IPO firm pulled out pending further review. The company's stock dropped 12 points before close. Russ's empire cracked in real time. By 4 p.m., I was standing in the lobby of Titan HQ. I hadn't been back since the boardroom stunt. Same security guard, same front desk, different energy. Russ's assistant, Shelby, spotted me. She looked stressed out of her mind. "He's in a boardroom meltdown," she said, voice low. "But he'll want to see you." I didn't respond, just followed her down the hall. She opened the door to his office. "You can wait in here. He won't be long." I stepped in and sat down in the same chair he used to lecture people from. The room was spotless, fake awards lined up like trophies. I leaned back and waited. No nerves, no adrenaline, just focus. I'd pictured this moment 100 times. None of those versions had felt this quiet. Outside the door, voices were raised, furniture scraped. Someone shouted, "Get legal on the phone right now." I didn't move, let him come to me. The door slammed open like it had been kicked. Russ barreled in, red-faced, voice already mid-rant. until he saw me. He stopped dead. "What the hell are you doing here?" I didn't move. "Wanted to see the look on your face." He let out this sharp little laugh. Fake, full of teeth. "You think that little article's gonna stop me?" I leaned forward, elbows on his desk like I owned the place. "SEC's got everything. Every doc, every recording. Your board has the tapes, the investors pulled, the IPO's dead in the water." He blinked just once. I kept going. "Claire filed for divorce this morning, and before you ask, yeah, she's got a damn good lawyer." He opened his mouth, then closed it. His face twitched. He paced 2 steps, then 3. Tried to smile again. Didn't work. "That why you're here?" he snapped. To gloat. "No, I'm here because it's over." Then he lunged, right hand up, wild look in his eye, like he was going to swing. He came fast, but I didn't move. "This office has cameras," I said, calm as ever. He froze, fist still raised, breathing like a bull. For a second, I thought he'd hit me anyway, but he didn't. He dropped his arm and stepped back, shaking his head, voice low now. "Why?" he asked. "Because I told you your idea sucked?" I stood up, took my time with it, straightened my jacket, met his eyes. "No," I said. "Because you hurt good people for years, because you enjoyed it, and because someone finally said enough." He didn't answer, just stared at me like he couldn't figure out how the hell this had all turned. I turned and walked toward the door, didn't rush, didn't look back. I heard him curse under his breath, then silence. That silence, best damn sound I'd heard in years. By the next morning, it was official. Russ Kincaid, suspended indefinitely. Titan Freight, under federal review. The board issued a press release so polished it sounded like it had been written 6 months ago. Integrity, transparency, ongoing cooperation. The usual coward speak. By Friday, actual charges hit. Wire fraud, obstruction, falsifying financial statements. For Russ, it was a full-stack collapse. Claire's filing was already in motion. She walked away with everything. The house, the accounts, the cars, even the damn art collection Russ liked to brag about. Her lawyer played it clean, but brutal. I sent her a bottle of champagne and a card that just said, "Done." Jenna's phone didn't stop buzzing for days. She signed a deal with an up-and-coming logistics firm out of Denver. Transparent books, flat structure, no old guard BS. They gave her full ownership and a CTO title. Her system, valued at $12.5 million, with an M. She didn't celebrate with fireworks, just looked at me and said, "Now I can build it the right way." Brian's story went viral. Editors called it the takedown of the year. Industry Week nominated it for an award 3 days later. He framed the email and hung it above his desk. Said it was the first time his work wasn't buried under threats. Neil? He finally came out of the freelance trenches. Investors flooded his inbox, most of them people who'd ignored him when he was just the guy whose code got stolen. He picked one offer, rebuilt his firm from the ground up with full independence. First hire, a kid who'd dropped out of college after being told he wasn't startup material. And me, I got offers. A lot of them. Big firms, venture arms, mid-sized companies looking to diversify their leadership. Everyone wanted to talk now that I had dirt under my nails and a win on the board. I turned them all down. Instead, Jenna and I started something new. A venture firm built for underdog creators. People with real ideas and no backers, no suits, no pedigree. We pooled our savings, made Neil our infrastructure lead, and brought Brian in as our communications guy. Claire joined too, running compliance and ethics. She never missed a red flag. We didn't even have a name the first month. Just a shared drive and a whiteboard with 10 names scribbled across it. Founders who needed a shot. We called the firm Third Rail Capital, the thing no one wants to touch until it powers the whole system. A few months in, a letter arrived at the office. Heavy envelope, no return address, typed, thick paper. Just one line. "I underestimated you." Russ's signature underneath. No threats, no apology, just that. I read it once, then dropped it in the trash without a word. It's been a year. Russ Kincaid lives in a beige condo in Tucson now. Not a gated mansion, not a penthouse, a condo. I heard he applied for board seats at 2 mid-level firms. Neither even called him back. Nobody big will touch him. His name's Poison. Quietly, efficiently, permanently shut out. Titan Freight didn't burn like we expected. It stabilized. New CEO, internal promotion. Someone from the ops side who actually listens more than he talks. No grand speeches, just steady hands. Imagine that. As for us, third rail. Capital's not just real, it's rolling. 12 projects funded, 5 of them led by people who were a few inches away from being steamrolled by guys like Russ. Undervalued, overlooked, flat out sabotaged. Not anymore. Claire runs our ethics program, doesn't just sign off paperwork. She sits down with every founder, lays it out plain, what we expect, what we won't tolerate, and why. No one gives her side eye twice. Jenna's the engine. CTO, co-founder, and backbone. Still in hoodies, still won't take credit. But she's the reason the tech side runs like a dream. Every time she gets a prototype working, it's like watching someone rebuild gravity. I handle the deals, face to face. I meet the creators, I ask hard questions, I push the paperwork, I close. No suits, no scripted pitches. If it feels fake, we pass. We don't go to the same conferences anymore. We don't shake the same hands. We don't want to. But we build. Every day. Sometimes I still think about that boardroom, the weight of silence, the paper tearing, Russ smirking like he was doing me a favor. I came real close to letting that moment define me, to folding, fading, letting it all become another almost. But I didn't. I walked out with my dignity, and I came back with justice. So if you're a guy out there thinking, I'm just one guy, what can I do? Start here. Stand up. Not screaming, standing, not crying, acting. Guys like Russ count on your silence. They build empires on it. Break it, we did. And I swear to you, it changed everything.